I'm now at Adam's house. I'm picking up some stuff from the house. I'm bringing them to the warehouse to clear up a little bit more space. And at the same time, we got Matt cleaning up the Swiss tracks. He's really cleaning up the shop floors. It used to be like super dirty from working, but now it's like super clean thanks to him.
It's all your fault.
Good job, Mr. Matt.
It's all your fault. It's all clean. Don't mess it up again.
But we have to get it dirty. Oh, that's why we can't work on cars.
You're right.
Now I need to unload the truck, and I brought the engine hoist. I got an engine stand. Of course, I got a fall. I just got that. I got another head that I have at the warehouse. I brought it over in case the one that from the engine that I got is bad. Got some cleaning supplies. Oh, I got these. I got some wheel spacers for my car when I put the wide body. And of course, my tool bag, which is here with all the necessary tools that I need to do the job. I don't even know what else I brought here. It's just so much stuff. I have to unload this now. Now I can unfold the engine hoist so I can pick up the engine and then put it on the stand. Now I want to match the engine stand bracket to the bolt pattern on the engine. So first I'll have to like loosen this up. I think there was probably a 2J or LS on this one before. So now I have to loosen all these adjustment screws so I can put it on the BMW. The engine is now on the stand, and now I can put this back in the truck and bring it to the warehouse since I won't be needing it for a few days. I ended up getting a drip pan. That way when I take apart the engine, I can put this underneath it. That way it doesn't spill stuff on the shop or the garage. That was a lot easier to clean up. Alright, so as far as the previous one of this engine informed me, there obviously signs that the water pump or the thermostat housing was leaking, and then that they found water on cylinder number 3. I went ahead and put WD-40 in there to try to like lube it up a little bit before I took it apart. But what I really want to do with this engine today is mainly to remove the cylinder head. That way I'm able to survey if the block is good, especially what I'm looking at is to the health of the cylinder number 3. If all the cylinders are good, I can use 84mm stock bore pistons. I have two theories. I have two options of what I want to do with this engine. Either I rebuild it factory again and put stock pistons and stock rods back in it, or I might actually do a 3-liter stroker, and that will be using M54 components, as it's already popular with BMW engines. You can take an M54 3.0 crank pistons and rods, and you can swap it over to the M52 engine and make it a 3-liter stroker. Lewis is currently running that setup, and he has Eagle H-beam rods, I think JD pistons, and stock crank, and then the head is just basically the same upgrades that you will do on any other head. What I will be looking to do is probably upgrading to the Eagle rods and leaving stock pistons and the S52 forged crankshaft. That setup, Lewis told me it runs about, Lewis told me he used that in Puerto Rico and he was able to run like 32 PSI on stock pistons with the reinforced rods, which wait a minute, I can run big boost on stock pistons? The pistons for these engines are about $1,000, so it's like, it's so much money for my budget, I can't afford it right now. But the rods are about $500, so I can definitely afford that. One of the reasons I can't afford to do a whole engine build is because I'm gonna go to SEMA in October, end of October to beginning of November. So I'm saving money towards that because it's a pretty expensive trip, even though I'm trying to just make it as basic as possible, just the bare necessities, because it's a very important business trip for me. Therefore, I won't be able to spend as much money as I would want it to fully build this engine, which will leave room to make more engine building material later on. I guess I can start the process by removing the exhaust manifold, which has 11mm or 7/16 nuts on it. Next I will be removing the valve cover. This already has the retainer nuts for the ornament cover off. So you take the oil cap off, remove this, put the oil cap back on. Now I will have to remove the coil packs, and then I can take the valve cover bolts out. Oh, I forgot about the little ground. The ground cable is 8 millimeters. Up next will be to remove the vanos. First, I will need to disconnect the vanos oil feed line. The plug's already disconnected, which is this one right here. Then I'll have to remove these two caps right here, so I can then remove the sprocket. I also need to take care of the tensioner, which is on the bottom, but that's right before I'm going to remove the sprocket. These caps are very important. Make sure you don't throw them away or lose the washer if you don't have new washers for it. I'm just going to put them down here now. Then I'm going to take the banjo bolt from the vanos. Now it's time to remove the front vanos cover. This bolt right here will be 13 millimeter. I'm gonna take that one off first. Then the rest should be 10s. There's also another 13 down here for the other side of the bracket. For this next step, you will need to spin the engine to match this bolt right here through this hole so you can loosen this up. The reason you need to loosen this up so you can then get the vanos off. You loosen it, don't remove them all completely, just so you can move the cam a little bit and wiggle the vanos off. I'm gonna show you guys what happens as soon as I turn the engine. And I think that should be where I want him, right there. Now I can access this and loosen this rope. With that being removed, now I can pry on the vanos cover. This is what the front of the cams look like with the vanos removed. One thing I want to show you guys in this is, you see there's splines on the cam and on the sprocket. So the reason I needed to loosen this up was so the cam was able to slide without moving the camshaft. So you got the intake cam, it's connected with the exhaust cam, and the crankshaft is connected to the exhaust cam as well. So once you put the vanos, it moves the cam as soon as it goes in and out. That way you need to loosen this one up so this one can spin and remove the vanos. On my other engine, I removed this system and I locked the camshaft in place so it couldn't move, but I guess it slid up a little bit and it caused total engine destruction. Now I can remove the vanos system and remove the chain. Now the camshafts are off, you can remove the tensioner is held up by 4 bolts. At this point, you will want to remove the timing belt tensioner for the bottom chain. This one is a 32mm socket. After doing this, it allows you to remove the exhaust cam sprocket. Before I can do that, I need to remove this bracket right here, which is one of the timing chain guides. Then this is in the way for getting this bolt right here. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna remove the intake cam completely out of the way, and then I can remove this. When removing the camshaft, you need to be very, very careful with these engines, and you have to go slowly, take a little bit of each one and loosen it up. If not, the camshaft can break. Now that I broke all of them loose, I can go ahead and start going little by little again, another run. Once I got all the caps all the way to the top, now I can start removing the nuts all together, and then remove the caps, the cam comes off. Then comes a tricky part. Now I can remove the caps and then the camshaft. Be sure to put the caps in the same order back together. Now I can lift off the camshaft. Now comes a really tricky part where you gotta be very careful. The lifters on this are held on by lifter trays, which are this part. And then when you take this off, they will fall off. If you don't want them to get mixed up, go very slowly. You pull up. It's all stuck. If I can get it unstuck first. Alright, here we go. Alright, they will start to slide down. You push them down, keep them all the way down. That way when you remove them, they fall and they stay in place. Or on top of the corresponding valve. Like so. Now what I do, I put this on backwards here, and then replace the lifters into its corresponding spot. I probably won't be reusing this lifters, I'll be reusing my M52 lifters, of course. But I never know, I just rather have the spare parts all together in case I have some future plans or needs for it. Now that I have all the lifters back in, I can remove the tray and do the same thing with the exhaust cam. that I got the camshafts out of the way, I can go ahead and remove this plastic thing here. And now I can remove the sprocket. At this time you also want to remove, there's also a little bolt here and a little bolt here. They are the same size as the retainer there. This one's always really hard. I can use Mr. Magnet to get them out of there. If they want to come out of there, this one still doesn't want to come off. There we go. Everything that's holding the head back in there is already being removed. Now the only thing that's holding the head in are the actual head bolts, which will be this ones right here. The head is held on by Torx E12, which will look like this. If I can get it to focus in place. So you get what the socket looks like. All right, so I'm gonna start little by little removing the bolts. I'll start with this one. Just gonna break them loose right now. Already got this one. Now I can loosen them a little bit easier. All right. Now I can use my little electric gun on them. That's like NASCAR speed right there, look at that. Now I use the magnet and pull them all out. The stock head bolts are pretty much garbage now, but I do like to keep the washers because I use them for other things. Am I missing a washer? They stay stuck with a bolt. All right, all the washers are off. Now is the big time to remove the head. Let me just go around, make sure nothing else is holding it in. Well, there's still this little bracket right here for the O2 sensors, and then this one right here for the harness. There is nothing else in the way right now, so we can finally pull the head off. Let me see if it'll wiggle off or I need to pry it off. Gets in it some prime. The head gasket, probably gluing it together, so I'll just pry it over here real quick. Oh wait, not there, over here. And there we go. Now I can lift it out of place. Alright, inspecting the engine block, I'm looking at the head gasket and it doesn't have any signs of a blown head gasket and water getting into the cylinder number 3 because of blown head gasket. Looking at the head, I noticed something, so 1, 2, and 3. What's going on with cylinder number 3? I think the valve is missing a chunk on the exhaust valve, so probably by the engine sitting at the junkyard, it got water coming from the exhaust valve into the cylinder, and that's why it had water. Which means this head is probably good. It needs a cleaning and a replacement of that valve, and it should be good to go. But luckily I have another head that I'm gonna be using for this engine. I don't have to do the work on this one. I went ahead and inspected the engine, turned the engine a few times, checked all the cylinders, especially cylinder number 3, and there's only like little water marks here and there, but there's no cavitations. That means a light hone and this engine will be good to go. Guess what I'm gonna be doing right now is I might end up doing 3 liters, so I'll keep you guys posted on the next video about what my engine build is gonna be like. I might do another video of tearing apart the block so you guys can learn what it takes to take apart the block, what am I doing, how it's done, and the combination that I will be using on my E36 engine.